Hello everyone. The title of today's talk is Disturbing Realities Don't Exist. What that means is, regardless of where you are, you can see that the human being is a point of existential attention. And based on this point of existential attention being here, there is innate considerations of a sense of space and time and individuality. This individuality is not subtle yet, but perhaps it's the individuality that a being realized when he saw himself in the mirror. Imagine the first human being seeing his reflection and being like, wait a minute, am I the human being or am I the whole thing? You see? And so when man chose self-awareness, when he looked himself and recognized himself in the mirror, he developed into an ability to individualize. And so based on this individuality growing from his consciousness, his survival at this point is still not individual. So what that means is man is still living like an animal, but he's getting an awareness that he's more of an individual form. It's like the more animals that attack, the more the body was moved around to be made aware of. However, it took a while, and then it dawned upon, based on an experiential happening, that individuality is framed this way. You see, consciousness did not step in until an individuality could be shaped. And it's as if we are, mankind is the edge of the cosmic pen. Is the ink drop that is now. So we are more curious to see what is written, and at the same time, to become aware of who's holding the pen, which cannot be only an aspect of your moment, like your body. It is the totality of the awareness to all bodies, whether it's a physical body, whether it's a body of thought, whether it's an observance where you are just given a body to just, for instance, see something and then suddenly you step out. These are subtler frameworks of ideology, because ideology might not be physically real to you, but on your subtler planes, you are having an experience. And sometimes when I speak, my experience is very direct. So it's as if out of honesty and sincerity, all manifestation is trusted, for it is within. And so you find a certainty there, but a certainty that does not seek clarification, does not need confirmation. It is certain by its being, similar to how the sun just, gives off light as if it's as if no one's giving it. It's just naturally, that's the phenomenon. So transcendental experience is a natural phenomenon for man. For man is not a being only in one dimension, but from that one dimension, he has been cultivating and creating a very profound ability to conceptualize. We're not just one image, we're not just an instrument, we're an evolving instrument. And so we are seeing how this whole universe is playing through these words. How I had even come to conception to even be named. What that means is I looked at my name, and sometimes when I was looking at something and I realized I conceived a name, but what conceived this form here as me? And it wasn't an intelligence outside, it was an intelligence that saw it all originating internally, and then internality and externality were observed in such a way that you are present beyond orientation, coordination, or a need for a direction. Your direction is your natural expression. And so you're no longer thinking in the terms of, oh, what's my purpose here, what's my ambition, what should I do? You're thinking of, how can I be the most expressive and able and efficient moment now? And you will see it all comes down to a natural sense of confronting the self that you are. And when I say confronting yourself, it does not mean that self is going to remain. Because there have been moments where I've gained some things from experiences that out of rage I have broken my past conditioning. Out of an experience that I did not think was possible, and suddenly going through that experience, it was as if my rage was not being pointed to the external world, it was being pointed to the subtlety of the internality of the ideas that I had considered to be me, but all these ideas had come to fail in the experience I'd gone through. And I noticed that there is no failure, there is dissolution into the solution. Disturbing realities don't exist because what is disturbing you doesn't exist. You have no reason to act in a certain way or agitate someone. As the dreamer does not try to awaken itself by trying to see what an awake being is, but the dreamer must get involved with the dream to such an intensity of acknowledging life through a sincere self-awareness that you are your awakening. It is not something that is given by something external to you. It is an internal awareness of all origination present now. And as Mr. Within realizes that names were never here, the nature of man's being could be nowhere else but here. Regardless of whether you're that billionaire in your mansion or you're that child in poverty, you can see the being is having an experience of reality, and then in novelty is always allowed to see what is real. When you begin to see that novelty is truth also in your creator dynamic, not just your creation dynamic, you are not bothered, you're not judging your externality, you are diving within and finding treasures, revealing treasures in who you are to no one else but yourself, which is this now, this moment of now, this moment of being. Before you are disturbed by anything, I want you to go and disturb the concept of disturb. Go and check it out, acknowledge it, see what it means, see how much it's relevant to your experience. Because you need to cultivate a very able mind, an efficient mind, in the way that if you are thrown in a life situation, you will see that you are the only one who's doing the throwing. You will guide and align yourself by the awareness of that which is natural. Because in nature, there are no victims or criminals. There is absolute expression, and based on the nature of what you are in your self-awareness, you're guided to where you need to walk. What that means is, if you become very existentially sensitive, it's not that when you wake up in the morning, it's just you waking up physically. If you're aware of it, there's a lot of subtlety. It's as if every ordered quality in your life has a chaotic quality simultaneously present based on how your awareness is aware of itself. What that means is when creator and creation have become the same experience within the moment that you are alive. Existential self-confrontation is the responsibility of a self-aware being, regardless of what or who you are.
You feel so lost, so cut off, so alone.
And trust life.
The only thing we
Because a
found
wise
is
man
bearable.
once said, and I can't emphasize this enough, he said that you have two options in life. You can either trust life or you cannot trust life. And you see that many people in our human society, in our social systems, are not trusting the systems, and so it's as if the survival of the fittest. Animals are still in a cage, in just a more advanced and prettier cage. Our social systems must become platforms of such harmony that our greatest leaders just gravitate and immediately the newest ideas are born. Out of great action, out of great awareness to communication. For it is then where the advanced communicators will be found. It is then where the pilots of consciousness will realize that there is no definition that needs to bound them. You are here now navigating as your plane of existence. There is no longer a soul or something that is similar to Casper's best friend. You are seeing that all that soul could be is the amount of certainty that you could hold and know. But when you see that you are such an individual aspect, the collective consciousness becomes your experience as if this physicality was just a pigment being observed by that which is your greater existential vision as a conscious being, that there is no unconscious or conscious boundary. The veil has turned into the bridge that in its acceptance was the acceptance of non-acceptance, was the existence of non-existence. Your knowing is not just who you are, it is all that you are. So remember who you are. And trust me, nature and what you find to be your intuition is always helping you. There is nothing that needs to disturb you. You just need to take an existential responsibility in seeing that how you are aware of things, how you are paying attention is creating a reality. There was a very wise man, his name was Hafiz, and he was a Sufi mystic poet, very realized being. And he has this quote where he says, "The words you speak become the house you live in." And this quote is just a mansion of wisdom. But you will begin to see that your words are not just words that, for example, when I talk, that's when it's a word. You know, when we're aware of words, you know. It is a thought. It is a way in how you are aware of thought. And when you ground yourself, nature never needed to just have an instruction booklet. You know how to be alive. Now, enjoy, not through just handling externality, which you will do the minute you trust life, but working in a way where you are mindful. Mindfulness meant don't bang the door harsh. And that's something where it would have been helpful if I was aware of much earlier in my life. Because we think that we are free beings, but we don't realize the minute our attention and awareness and care and love for reality changes, that reality immediately can shift. Your communication can also be considered your self-talk, or what many people in quotations call thinking. What is thought? What are you? If there's a difference, Is there anyone who can tell you? As you become aware of how you communicate and how you feel about how you're communicating, you will not just immediately gravitate toward your most sincerest and honest self. You will also be guided towards your most clearest self that is not allowing the disturbance, that is in such awareness to the joy of existential possibility, that it would be a shame if infinity was in our eyes and we couldn't see it. And I would like to suggest that you can always align yourself, because something that Hafiz, this poet from 1,000 years ago, understood was that communication suggested, the communication in the moment suggested the projection of the world. And so, maybe now, based on a very graceful, intuitive feeling, be present in the sounds of these mantras that I would like to share. These are just sounds, so be aware of these sounds, but also utilize their resonance to become aware of the projection of all reality. There is a reason why communication is significant, as suggested. Transcendence is also the transcendence of the communication that is suggesting the good. Blessings to all as these mantras guide you. For the pilot's calling. Leader. Much blessings and namaste.